I will say it is a true honor and a surprise. As a relatively new practitioner, I focus on my caseloads day to day, focus on my clients, and rarely do I step back and look at the cumulative effect. It's very heartwarming to see all of these strong lawyer client connections that I've built in just a few years, and it's a privilege to be able to look at those through the scope of this award together with um, an esteemed community of other practitioners. So I like to say that I do a mix of both legal and people work. Family law and divorce jurisprudence is pretty well established. It is not common that we're researching and looking into fairly complex legal questions. What tends to be more complex are the emotional issues that our clients bring us, especially when it comes to domestic and family violence. So part of my job is full representation counsel, is working with my clients to distinguish between what is emotionally relevant and legally relevant while guiding the case forward in a way that is not going to re-traumatize or inflame the potential for retaliation. Another part of my job is assisting with staffing a family court help desk out here in Erie County. We serve all of Western New York, but primarily we're in person in Erie County. And that sort of serves as a family court emergency room, so to speak. People will come to our help desk at all stages of litigation. It's basically a catch-all for people who are unrepresented and need some sort of direction. When it comes to family and domestic violence victims, however, it's basically an emergency room. People will come to us at a stage where they don't have any resources, and that tends to be where they're in the greatest need for resources, direction, sometimes protection. We know that it takes an average of 7 times trying to leave a domestic abuse situation. And I believe that at that first point of contact, when we have those initial meetings with folks to get them safe, providing them with resources, support, and just a general sense of understanding can sometimes give them what they need to reduce that number from 7 to 5, and in some cases, 1 attempt. I wasn't exactly sure initially that I even wanted to go into law. I spent a lot of time exploring options like radio and baking, but ultimately I found that this practice, specifically family and matrimonial law, just called to me. You know, when something just clicks and it doesn't feel like an effort, I found that it fits me quite well, and I enjoy the satisfaction of being able to help people get to where they want to go. So each of us exists within a society naturally, and as part of being a part of that society, we all participate in some way. And I have a firm belief that everyone has the duty to serve their society and the communities within it to the best of their ability. And I think those of us who practice law do the same as other folks who work in libraries or teach or work at gas stations, making sure that every area of our society is served. And as long as you're doing the best you can for your society, it's really all I can ask for. From my practice specifically, I see a cumulative effect within my clients. You see a sense of empowerment. When you're dealing with folks who struggle with a balance of control and power that's not equitable, sometimes getting knowledge and information into somebody's hands kind of evens that playing field. But I'll say I see a greater effect in the community when it comes to our partnerships with various nonprofit agencies. It's really a system of resources working together for the individual clients in a way that I've never seen before, but I think has so much potential and such an impact on the individuals as well as the actual existence of domestic violence as a prevailing issue as a whole. Part of my work is funded through a grant by the Office of Victim Services through New York State. As part of that grant work, we partner with a few nonprofit organizations out here in Buffalo. It's called the Crime Victims Justice Project. The Volunteer Lawyers Project, work with the Center for Elder Law and Justice and Child and Family Services to make sure that we reduce the number of barriers in place when it comes to getting domestic violence survivors to resources. So as I was saying earlier, people often come to us without an advocate or without a safety plan in place or without the resources to move out of a domestic violence situation. So by coming together and reducing the number of steps to getting access to resources, we're effectively trying to get people out of that situation more quickly or with fewer issues that could arise. So like I said before, I've only been practicing a few years. So I'd like to continue building my reputation. Now, I don't know what that reputation is, but I'd like to think that it's positive. So I'd like to continue making my way towards a reputation of dependability and fairness, as well as developing the professional and personal connections I've made through this practice, because ultimately that will allow me to serve my clients better in the future. Plus, it will give me the opportunity to continue working with the many talented professionals, both legal and community professionals. It's really an amazing system of resources that we have out here in Western New York and across the state. And I'd like to continue building my presence both in that community as well as sharing resources far and wide. I'd like to congratulate the fellow award winners on receiving this well-deserved recognition. Day to day, we often focus on our cases and moving them forward as effectively as possible. But this is a moment for each of us to examine the impacts that we've had and that we'd like to continue making on our clients. And it's not without great time and effort that each of the award winners got here. And I just applaud them, and I am in complete awe and respect for the work that they do.